Show me how to dissolve the I, the me. Without that, everything else is futile. Show me how to dissolve the I, the me. Without that, everything else is futile. The questioner says, show me. One can point out various ways of denying totally the self, the me, the selfishness, the self-centered activity. But apparently, man has tried so many different ways, religiously, politically, accepting the state and adjusting, all that. Apparently man has not been able to totally deny or put away the whole nature and the structure of the self. Let's look at it first. Why self has become so important? Why me first? And many people have tried through meditation, through repetition of certain idiotic words, try to be free of all this self. So why man has given such extraordinary importance to the self? Why you, forgive me if I talk to you directly, why do you give importance to the self? Is it's become a habit? Is it that we are encouraged from childhood? Is it that all the religions have maintained that the self exists, but identify that self with something greater? All that business. And is it, if one feels that there is no self, there is nothing. And one is afraid of being nothing. So the questioner says, show me, help me, how to be free of this torture of the self. It's a torture. It's a battle that's going on, outwardly and inwardly. Self can have no relationship with anybody. Self, in its very nature, is an isolating process. And it may be an abstraction. not actual reality. Reality in the sense that can be touched, looked at objectively. Is it a series of structures put together by thought? Because the self, the me, the egotistic action, is tearing the world apart. Perhaps we don't see that. That self identifies itself as a Jew, as a Hindu, as a Muslim, as a Christian, as a scientist. And so this, in the very nature of the self, its movement is to be isolated. Are we meeting together? And the questioner says, what am I to do? I know all this. I have thought a great deal about all this. I've tried different ways. I have meditated, tried to control, tried to deny myself of everything. But it's still there. Have you played with all this, some of you? If you have, then the question is, what is one to do? It may be that there is nothing to be done. Do you understand my answer? Through complete negation, there is positive action. I wonder if you understand all this. To negate. But we are afraid to negate because we have identified ourselves with our body, the perpetual concern over the body, yoga, exercise, beauty, facial, long hair, short hair, beard and no beard, go through the various fads that one goes through. All this is sustaining the self. And in meditation, the controller is the self. I wonder if you see all this. So what is one to do? One has tried 10,000 ways. One has tried many, many ways to be free of this torture, this isolating process of the me. I don't know if you have tried it. Probably not. but to do it demands tremendous alertness, watchfulness, attention. And in the self there is great pleasure. The saints have done that. Self-control, self-torture. But at the end of it all, there is this self deeply rooted. And is it ever possible to have no shadow of the self? Which means no isolation. Which doesn't mean I am the whole, you follow all that tricks. To have no sense of honest, absolute feeling that there is no isolation. Please don't go off to the other, which is I am the whole. Therefore I am not isolated, which is just another trick of thought. The other day there was a letter, a man saying, I am truth, you are part of me. And you don't accept me, therefore you're not whole. You follow? Such a nonsense that goes on. So is it possible to eliminate altogether the feeling of isolation? And that may be love. And that may be the one central factor that totally dissipates the self. But that word love is also such a misused word, being spat upon. It's made into such ugly thing. I love my husband, but I fight with him. I love my wife, but I can't tolerate, I must have divorce. You know all that. I love my country, therefore I'm ready to kill everybody else. I love God, and I will torture anybody who doesn't believe in God. The Catholics have been experts at that. So that word is something very sacred. Not the word, but the content, the depth and the beauty and the utter reality of it. That is sacred. And if we haven't that, as the questioner says, everything else is futile. Then you might say, how am I to have that love? You can't. It isn't something that cultivates, you know. Day after day being kind, generous, doing social work, going off to some unfortunate country and doing, helping the poor and all that. See, that's one of those strange things. We have lost all reverence. It may be bourgeois idea. We won't go into that for the moment. That may be the only factor, the only thing that totally, completely dissolves the self. Not, I love everybody. It's again another trick of the brain. I love one, therefore I can love all. That's another. But to have the beauty of it in your heart, not in the world, not in the form. And when there is no sense of isolation, then the other perhaps is. And then the self is not. While that is, the other is not.